How many of you drink water from the sink? Do you trust the tap water? Do you know where the water comes from? For those of you who don't, let's start at the beginning.
The process starts with collector wells. There are 2 collector wells that the plant draws their water from. Each well has 3 separate pumps connected to them to send the water to the plant. The 2 wells are there, but they only really need to run one, so that way there is redundancy with the plant. If there's a problem with the flow of one of the wells, then they can just shut it off and switch to the other well. The pumps send the water to the splitter towers. Once the water hits the splitter towers, there is no other pumps associated with the system. The rest of the water is sent through the plant on gravity. The splitter tower is there for the water to hit a certain height. Once the water hits that height, the gravity sends the water to the clarifiers. The plant has 2 clarifiers as well, but once again, they only need to run one at a time. With municipal water system, redundancy is important. In the clarifiers, the water goes through a process known as stabilization. Stabilization just makes the water more secure so they can inject the necessary chemicals needed to treat the water. Raw water gets injected into the clarifiers as well as lime slurry mixture from the lime silos. The clarifiers also soften the water. Raw water enters the plant at roughly 300 to 320 hardness. After the softening process, though, the number goes down to 100. The number is just milligrams per liter of calcium carbonate. Many different numbers are associated with the hardness, but they use one as a general rule. As you are clarifying the water, the pH of the water is being raised from 7.6 to 10.4, 10.6 in the clarifier. Raising the pH will cause the water to become more reactive and corrosive. This water then gets sent to the recarbonation station. Recarbonation is not a real word, but they use it to describe what happens during this part of the plant. During the station, they conduct a process known as CO2 stabilization, which is just running the water through a basin and bubbling CO2 gas through it. This brings the pH down to 9.1. This makes the water less reactive and corrosive as well. After this process, the water then gets sent to the filters. There are 8 filters set up at the Mount Vernon plant. They only have 5 that are in operation, but they have 3 spares just for future expansion. Filtering the water means removing any excess chemicals that are left and removing as much of the leftover slime slurry that did not get mixed with the rest of the water. After the filtering process, the water is ready for disinfection. To disinfect the water, the plant uses a chlorine dioxide generator. Other plants are known to use just straight chlorine gas, but the Mount Vernon plant uses chlorine dioxide for many reasons. This process happens right before the clear well process. The clear well is just a 1,000,000-gallon tank that is designed to force the water to spend much time in the tank. The tank is set up for the water to spend 3.8 hours during this process. This gives the water plenty of time to interact with the chlorine dioxide and make sure everything is appropriately disinfected. Once done in the clear well, it goes back into the plant, and the plant pushes the water through a pump to the distribution station. Distribution happens at 2 different elevated tanks located throughout the city of Mount Vernon. These tanks act as storage facilities, and the water getting released to the houses is controlled at the plant and gets moved through pipes that are spread throughout the city.
Lime, which is known as calcium hydroxide, commonly known as slaked lime, is an inorganic compound with the chemical formula CaOH2. It is a colorless crystal or white powder and is obtained when calcium oxide, called lime or quicklime, is mixed or slaked with water. Lime is non-persistent and non-bioaccumulative. Lime is not harmful to humans or wildlife in small, raw quantities. Carbon dioxide is a colorless, odorless gas produced by burning carbon and organic compounds and by respiration. It is naturally present in air, about 0.03%, and is absorbed by plants and photosynthesis. One of the biggest environmental effects is global warming. The extra carbon dioxide increases the greenhouse effect. More heat is trapped by the atmosphere, causing the planet to become warmer than it would be naturally. The increase in global temperature, this is called global warming. Polymer, which we don't know what is in the polymer because it wasn't mentioned in the interview, but in general, a polymer is a substance that has a molecular structure consisting chiefly or entirely of a large number of similar units bonded together, which is like many synthetic organic materials used as plastics and resins. Sodium chloride 25% is a compound used for water disinfection and purification. It is produced in large quantities as flakes or a solution from chlorine dioxide and sodium hydroxide, which is a powerful oxidizer that will not explode on percussion. It is known to cause oxidative stress associated with changes in erythrocytes, most commonly known as an imbalance between the production of free radicals and the ability of the body to counteract or detoxify their harmful effects through neutralization by antioxidants. Chlorine gas is a halogen element, a heavy greenish-yellow, incombustible, water-soluble, poisonous gas that is highly irritating to the respiratory organs. It is obtained chiefly by electrolysis of sodium chloride brine, which is used for water purification, the making of bleaching powder, and in the manufacture both of chemicals that do not contain chlorine, as ethylene glycol, and of those that do. Chlorine gas is most commonly known to affect the immune system when in the air, along with the blood, heart, and respiratory system of animals. Chlorine causes environmental harm at low levels. Chlorine is especially harmful to organisms living in water and soil, but the kind of chlorine gas has been used for 100 years now and is the primary disinfectant used in treating municipal water supplies. It is fed under a vacuum, greatly reducing any chance of leaks. Although chlorine gas is a hazardous substance, if used correctly and safely, it is harmless.
There are no environmental concerns that are associated with the current system that the Mount Vernon plant uses. The World Health Organization has run many tests on aquatic specimens to see if the water treatment process has affected them in any way. They have concluded from these tests that there are no concerns that they need to worry about for these aquatic organisms. The process is harmless for them. However, we never know what the future holds. As the population in Knox County expands, the plant will need to expand as well. This expansion will cause for more quantities of the chemicals to be used. The future is unclear how the plant will accompany these expansions and whether they will continue to be environmentally friendly.